Wednesday, we got the Fed's newest message after a meeting, and Chair Powell has gone through a period of trying to figure out the best way to communicate with the public and markets, and last fall twice made the Fed look a great deal tighter than markets thought it intended to be. The second time he did it was the 19th of December, which is 7 weeks ago, and other Fed officials ran out within 2-3 days afterwards to say, no, that's not what we're up to. And that really doesn't ever happen, to have senior members of the Fed come out to revise what the chairman has had to say. The Fed on Wednesday came out and instead of sounding overly hawkish, sounded more relaxed than anybody really expected, although we hoped. And the message is that the Fed is going to be on hold, open-ended, until it sees overt signs of inflation, or by proxy, unsustainable increases in wages. The Fed, in this recovery cycle, and going back another, 70 years or so, the arch faith of the Fed has been that an economy growing too fast, overheating, as defined by the unemployment rate too low, which is bound to do bad things, to make wages grow too fast, or simply by the GDP growing too fast, will produce inflation. And so the Fed's job, in the oldest line about the Fed, is to take away the punch bowl just when the party gets going good. Well, in this expansion, which in a few more months will be the longest economic expansion in the history of the country, the Fed's warnings about the unsustainable track of the labor market and of GDP growth have been wrong. I mean, just flat wrong. Over and over and over and over, the Fed has warned of things happening that haven't happened. That doesn't mean they're going to stay wrong. The world's a fine place, but many people were mystified after Wednesday about why the sudden flip to no further rate hikes. Did that mean that there's something wrong with the economy that we don't know about? And the bottom line, I think, arrived this morning with job numbers from the month of January and revised ones from December and November. And the job growth is unbelievable. The job growth is almost 250,000 jobs net of revisions, and no particular wage growth, which means the whole thing is not inflationary. The Fed did not have these numbers ahead of time. The Fed got them this morning along with the rest of us, or last night. And but it means that the economy is doing just fine. This is a hunch, an informed one, but nevertheless a hunch. I have a feeling that Powell, who already has expressed skepticism about the Fed's mathematical models of the economy, that what the Fed has finally done is saying, you know, the models are telling us that we should be worried about inflation, but they've been telling us that for a long time and it's not there, so we're not going to worry about it anymore. And so I have a feeling that the Fed is now no longer going to worry about job growth that seems to be too fast or an economy that's too fast. They're going to wait for the fact of inflation or outsized wage gains. That reduces their reaction time. It means that if they're wrong and the economy overheats, they may have to hit us harder than they otherwise would have. But this business of preempting an economy that's been good without doing any harm, that may just have ended. And we may enter a period of interest rate stability that could last a long time. Long meaning years. Evidence is accumulating that the threat of inflation has been suppressed going on 20 years by the combination of an aging world, seriously so, IT, which makes it very difficult to raise prices above anybody else's because it's too easy to find everybody else's. And trade. The massive global trade has a leveling effect on global prices and wages. And the leveling, we're the losers in the leveling, and the rest of the world are the winners. But it's inevitable. Those three forces may have simply canceled the inflation threat. And the Fed has realized that it should just leave the economy alone. Are they about to cut? No, they're not about to do that either. So I wouldn't get excited about refinancing, but we really don't get any better news. I know that's boring, but it's really good news. Have a good weekend.